The fracturing of trust, a Port Charles on the precipice of chaos. In the simmering, high-stakes world of Port Charles, trust is the most valuable and volatile currency. It is the invisible thread that binds alliances, the bedrock upon which families are built, and the silent agreement that separates allies from enemies. But as the shadows lengthen over the city, these threads are fraying, and the bedrock is cracking. A storm, brewed from a potent cocktail of buried secrets, dangerous liaisons, and compromised loyalties, is gathering force. For several of Port Charles's most pivotal figures, the ground beneath their feet is becoming alarmingly unstable, and a single, catastrophic event is poised to trigger a chain reaction of devastation that will spare no one. The air is thick with unspoken words and the heavy weight of impending revelation. On one front, a battle of wills is being waged not on a physical battlefield, but in the tense silences and loaded glances between two of the world's most formidable operatives. On another, a bond forged in years of loyalty and shared trauma is being tested by a dangerous attraction to the forbidden. Elsewhere, a family's dream of a perfect future is being poisoned by a past that refuses to stay buried. And at the heart of it all, the patriarch, the anchor of the city's most powerful family, is showing signs of a frightening vulnerability that no one dares to acknowledge. This is the story of how trust, once shattered, unleashes a torrent of chaos, and how the people of Port Charles are about to be swept away by the tide. The unraveling of an agent, Anna's moral tightrope. Anna Devane has long stood as a paragon of strength and unshakable resolve. A woman who has navigated the treacherous waters of international espionage with a precision and moral clarity that has become legendary, she has always been the one who could separate duty from emotion, the mission from the heart. But that version of Anna is fading. She now finds herself standing at the edge of a moral and professional precipice, a dizzying height from which the fall would be fatal to everything she has built. The catalyst for this perilous balancing act is her increasingly conflicted involvement with Dalton. What began as a covert operation, a mission driven by professional duty and the cold logic of an experienced agent, has mutated into something far more personal and compromising. It has become a complex emotional entanglement, a web of feelings and loyalties that she can no longer easily detangle. Once seen as unshakable in her resolve, Anna now finds herself caught in something far more compromising than she ever anticipated. And the one person with the clarity and proximity to see the cracks forming is Jason Morgan. His interrogations are no longer casual inquiries about mission progress. They are sharp, unrelenting, and laced with a growing suspicion that cuts through her carefully constructed defenses. Jason, a man who operates on instinct and unwavering precision, senses the shift in her. He sees that Anna is no longer capable of separating her judgment from her feelings. With every pointed question he throws her way, the ground beneath her grows more unstable. Why did you delay the move? Why was this intelligence withheld? Did you defy a direct order? These aren't just questions. They are accusations wrapped in the quiet, deadly language of their shared world. His eyes search hers for the loyalty and logic he has always counted on, for the unwavering partner who once fought beside him without question. But instead of the familiar clarity, he finds something new, a gaze clouded by regret, haunted by the ghosts of decisions that were once clear and are now murky. Anna tries to defend her choices, to explain that her instincts are still intact, that she is still playing the long game. She falters, not outwardly but inside, where the cracks are beginning to form. Jason isn't just pushing her for answers. He is forcing her to confront a truth she has been desperately trying to suppress, that her connection to Dalton has compromised her objectivity and, perhaps, even her allegiance. In his piercing silence, in the way he clenches his jaw and simply waits for an answer she cannot give, Anna hears what he is not saying, that he is losing faith in her. And, the worst part, in the deepest, most guarded corners of her heart, she is beginning to lose faith in herself. The war she is fighting is no longer just against Dalton. It's a battle within herself, and the trust that once bound her to Jason is hanging by the thinnest of threads. The danger in defiance. Carly, Jason, and the cost of recklessness. While Jason grapples with the erosion of professional trust with Anna, a more personal and perhaps more agonizing drama unfolds with Carly Corinthos. Jason and Carly have always shared a bond that defied logic, something deeper than friendship, stronger than blood. It is a connection forged through years of loss, loyalty, and countless battles fought side by side. When the world was against them, they were their own unshakable alliance. But now, that very history is becoming a source of torment. Carly, ever defiant and drawn to danger like a moth to a flame, has become entangled in a treacherous game with Brennan, a man who operates in the gray area between government secrets and criminal underworlds. What began as a calculated dance of negotiation and leverage has spiraled into a high-risk entanglement that now threatens to destroy everything she's tried to protect. Brennan is not just another adversary. He is a man who understands leverage, whose interest in Carly has nothing to do with affection and everything to do with control. Jason sees it all with disturbing clarity. He sees it in the way Brennan speaks to her, corners her with veiled threats wrapped in disarming charm. He sees how Carly, despite her formidable strength, underestimates just how deeply she has stepped into something that is devouring her, inch by inch. His instincts, the same instincts that have saved her countless times, are screaming. This time, however, is different. This time, the stakes are higher, more shadowed, and rooted in a world of clandestine power that even he can't fully predict. This growing crisis is driving Jason back into old, painful patterns. He finds himself consumed by an obsession to protect her, not just from Brennan, but from her own prideful recklessness. He remembers the nights he had to cover her tracks, the times he took the fall so she could survive. He remembers what it cost him, personally and emotionally, every time she refused to walk away from a fight. And now, watching her stand on the edge again, he feels that same old fire ignite within him, the fear, the rage, the unspoken desperation to pull her back before it's too late. He's not just worried for her safety, he's obsessed with the idea that he might not get to her in time, that this time, her pride might be the very thing that breaks her. In this fear, he finds himself analyzing her every move, her every conversation, preparing contingency plans she doesn't even know exist. He doesn't trust Brennan, he doesn't trust the government forces behind him, and most painfully, he is beginning to doubt if he can trust Carly's judgment. The more involved she becomes with Brennan's network, the secret deals, the quiet meetings, the whispered promises, the more Jason is haunted by the past. The danger isn't just a rival family or a vengeful mobster. It's a systemic web of manipulation and blackmail so deeply embedded it could swallow them whole. This isn't just about stopping Brennan. It's about saving Carly from herself, and that may be the most impossible mission Jason has ever faced. The weight of a lie, a family fracturing at its core. Away from the world of spies and mobsters, an equally devastating emotional drama is reaching its breaking point. Brooklyn Lynn Quartermaine and Harrison Chase had for months been trying to move forward, to build a future grounded in love, forgiveness, and a shared vision of stability. But their foundation was built on a lie, and the truth has a way of rising to the surface. The revelation of Joe's true identity has become an obsession, an unhealed wound that festers between them. Brooklyn and Chase never imagined that this secret, so deeply rooted in the past and sealed with silence, would unravel the delicate bond they had worked so hard to build. Once it was confirmed that Gio was not just a troubled teen with a musical gift, but the biological son Brooklyn had once given up and Dante had unknowingly fathered, everything changed. For Chase, the sting lies not just in the truth itself, but in how it was handled. He is no stranger to pain, loss, or difficult choices. He doesn't fault Brooklyn for having a past, but the fact that this secret was buried for so long that she couldn't trust him with the weight of it has left a crack in his heart that he can't ignore. It's not jealousy, it's exclusion. The more he tries to tell himself it doesn't matter, the more that exclusion eats away at his faith in the future they were building. He doesn't know how to talk to her anymore without seeing the part of her life he never knew, the son she never told him about, and the cascading consequences of her silence. What was once a relationship filled with laughter and second chances is spiraling into emotional detachment. Their late-night conversations have turned into quiet, strained dinners where neither one speaks, the space between them grown thick with doubt, regret, and unspoken pain. Brooklyn, for her part, is consumed by guilt and fear. The fear that this one truth, this one buried piece of her soul, is going to cost her everything. She had thought keeping the secret would protect everyone, Gio, Dante, Chase herself. But now, the emotional backlash is undeniable. Chase is growing colder, less open, retreating not out of malice, but out of self-preservation. Gio, caught in the center of it all, is acting out, pushing boundaries and challenging rules, as if testing how far he can go before someone truly sees him, not as a revelation, not as a mistake, but as a person. And in the middle of it all, Brooklyn feels herself unraveling. She can feel the world watching, waiting for her to stumble, and it's creating a level of psychological pressure that she is barely holding together. The truth didn't set them free. It exposed every vulnerability and every buried fear they never wanted to name. The obsession with the past now threatens to consume their future entirely. The collapse. The day the Corinthos legacy shuttered. Against this backdrop of fracturing relationships and simmering paranoia, the Corinthos family gathered for what was meant to be a day of celebration. The christening of Daisy was to be a moment of redemption, a day to bind generations together under one name and renew their spiritual bonds. But instead, it became the day Sonny fell. For weeks, Sonny had tried to mask the subtle, terrifying signs. The tremors in his hand, the brief but disorienting moments of dizziness, the unexplained pressure building behind his eyes. He told himself it was nothing, stress, age, the immense weight of responsibility he had carried for a lifetime. Deep down, he knew something was wrong, but he didn't want anyone else to know. Especially not Carly, especially not Jason, and especially not Michael. He had to be the rock, the unmovable force. He had shown up at the church that morning dressed impeccably, as composed as always. He kissed Daisy on the forehead with the tenderness of a father and godfather who understood the sanctity of the moment. He stood with Michael and Sasha in front of the altar, his very presence grounding the event with the quiet authority he carried into every room. But even as the priest began the blessing, those closest to him noticed something was off. His hand trembled slightly as he held Daisy. His eyes looked strained. His jaw was clenched with a kind of tension that didn't belong in a sacred space. Carly, sitting in the front pew, caught the shift first. Jason, ever watchful from his corner of the church, stood a little straighter. There was a collective intuition in the room, a breath held for a beat too long. Then came the moment. As the priest lifted the water, and the words of baptism echoed gently through the stained-glass sanctuary, Sonny's knees buckled. His body swayed, his eyes lost focus. And then, with a sickening, echoing thud, he collapsed to the floor in front of everyone. The gasps were immediate. The silence that followed was louder than any scream. Within seconds, the ceremony was forgotten, and the room descended into chaos. Michael was the first to react, his instinct overriding his shock. He dropped to his knees beside his father, frantically calling his name. Sasha froze, her arms still wrapped around Daisy, her face pale as porcelain, paralyzed by fear and disbelief. Carly was already running, her heels echoing against the marble as she rushed to Sonny's side, tears in her eyes and horror in her voice. Jason moved swiftly and silently through the crowd, cutting through the panic with deadly focus. He had seen Sonny take hits before, bullets, betrayals, losses no man should have to bear. But this was different. This wasn't war. This wasn't a rival family making a move. This was something deeper, something medical, something personal. And it was happening in front of everyone. The ambulance arrived quickly, but time slowed as Sonny was lifted onto the stretcher, his face ghostly pale, his body lifeless. As they wheeled him out, the church, once filled with music and holy vows, now felt hollow and haunted. The christening of Daisy, a day meant to celebrate new life, had instead become a symbol of something else entirely. the moment everything changed. For if Sunny, the anchor, the protector, the immovable force that held them all together, could fall like this, what did it mean for the rest of them? A terrifying thought began to grow in the hearts of those left behind. A legacy had just collapsed, and what would rise from its ashes? Vengeance, grief, or redemption would depend entirely on who could survive the coming fire. Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button for more updated news.